Every time I try to build a new habit, I somehow end up right back where I started. Whenever my alarm goes off, I instantly hit snooze, even though the night before I set that alarm feeling completely fired up. Then, the next morning, I snooze it anyway. I couldn't figure out why I kept doing that. And it's not just about waking up early. The same thing happens with dieting, going to the gym, studying, pretty much every habit I try to build. So I dug deep and found 5 key reasons that finally started changing things for me. And today, I'm going to walk you through those same 5 points. And trust me, you'll probably see yourself in more than a few of them. Especially point number 4. That's for the people trying to build habits completely on their own. Let's start with the first point, the place where most people get stuck before they even realize it. The motivation dependency. It's a pattern where people try to build new habits using nothing but motivation, without any real system or structure behind them. Motivation is a temporary emotional state, not a strategy. It rises and falls with your stress levels, your sleep, and even your mood. So if your habit is built only on motivation, it's only a matter of time before it falls apart. Every January, or during any fresh start moment, we jump in, full of excitement. But within just a couple of weeks, that motivation starts fading. In fact, only about 8 to 9% of people stick with their New Year's resolutions over the long term. Most people call this laziness, but the truth is, it's simply a natural result of how your brain is wired. And this is where the solution begins. Pair every new behavior with a small, immediate reward, so your brain gets the dopamine it's expecting. Also, expect your motivation to dip in the middle of the journey. When it does, you won't mistake it for failure. And like I mentioned earlier, focus on your identity, not the outcome. Saying, "I'm a disciplined person," creates a much stronger commitment than saying, "I want to lose 20 pounds." Ask yourself one simple question. Would I still do this if I was in a bad mood? If the answer is no, then your habit still depends on motivation, not on a system. So never wait for motivation to show up. Build the system first, and let motivation become the byproduct. And this is where the most dangerous illusion begins. People think they lack discipline, when the real problem is something else entirely. And the next point might expose the biggest mistake you've been making all along. This mistake comes from one missing piece, a piece so important that without it, your habit gets stuck before it even begins. When you want to start a new behavior, but there's no clear, specific trigger to initiate it, you're dealing with what's called missing trigger. Every habit follows the same 3-part loop: cue, routine, reward. And if the cue is weak or too vague, the routine will never become consistent, no matter how motivated you are. People make resolutions like, "I'm going to work out every day," but they never define when or where it's actually going to happen. Without a fixed cue, your brain has to make a fresh decision every single day, and vague goals create decision fatigue. Think about it like this. You tell yourself, "I need to study today," but your brain immediately gets stuck. Which subject should I open? Which chapter do I start with? Now your brain has to make one decision after another before you've even started studying. The result? Your brain gets mentally exhausted, and before you know it, you're scrolling Instagram Reels instead. When your trigger is vague, it becomes an escape hatch for your brain. Here's what that looks like. You tell yourself, "I'll work out this evening." But this evening isn't a real trigger. It's blurry. There's no exact moment attached to it. So your brain starts negotiating. "It's only 5 p.m. I'll talk to my friends first." Then later, "Now it's 7 p.m. It's getting dark. I'll do it tomorrow." Every time that happens, your brain reopens the decision, and more often than not, avoids the action completely. Then, people blame themselves for having no discipline, when the real problem was never discipline. It was a missing cue. So, what's the fix? Create a specific if-then plan. If this cue happens, then I'll do this specific behavior. The moment your brain detects that cue, the response becomes much more automatic. An even easier strategy is habit stacking. Attach your new habit to a routine you already do consistently. Or place visual reminders in your environment, like leaving your gym bag by the front door, so it becomes a trigger even on the days when you're tired. Never just say, "I'm going to do this." Always define when and where. Use the routines that already exist in your day as anchors for your new habits. And if your plan keeps failing, don't blame yourself. Rewrite the plan instead, because this is exactly where another hidden force enters the picture, one that quietly controls your decisions every single day without you even realizing it. You probably think the problem is your willpower, when the real game is being played by your environment. Environment friction isn't just about willpower or self-control. It's the science of how your environment determines whether a behavior feels easy or difficult. This is called choice architecture. Without changing the options themselves, simply changing their visibility, default position, or placement can predictably influence people's decisions. Most people try to fix their habits with nothing but discipline and motivation. But the real obstacle is often hiding in their environment. Research suggests that around 43% of our daily actions aren't conscious decisions at all. They're automatic responses to the cues around us. So when your environment sends the wrong signal, like keeping your phone next to your bed, even a strong habit can fall apart. Here's one of the best examples. In a hospital cafeteria, simply changing where water was placed caused soda sales to drop by 11.4%, while water sales increased by 25.8% without anyone saying a single word. So, what's the solution? Start with a friction audit. List every physical step it takes to perform your target habit. Then, remove the biggest point of friction. For example, sleeping in your gym clothes the night before can reduce a 7-step process down to just 2 steps. And do the exact opposite for bad habits. Add friction, like charging your phone in another room instead of keeping it beside your bed. The same principle applies to your digital environment. Simply switching your phone to grayscale mode can reduce daily screen time by 20 to 50 minutes. Keep the things you want to do obvious and easy to see, and keep the things you want to avoid out of sight and out of reach. But there's another hidden consequence most people never think about. It's called habituation. This is when your brain slowly starts ignoring cues that stay the same for too long, no matter how useful they are. Your brain is incredibly efficient. It wants to conserve energy. So anything that never changes becomes background noise. Just like the color of your walls, or the sound of a fan running in the background. Eventually, your brain filters those things out of your conscious awareness. Here's what that looks like. Let's say you place your workout shoes in the middle of your room, so seeing them reminds you to exercise. For the first 2 or 3 days, your brain notices the shoes. The cue works. You work out. But after about a week, the shoes are still sitting in the exact same place, yet your brain stops noticing them. They become practically invisible. You walk right past them without even realizing they're there. That's exactly why sticky notes on your wall, motivational posters, or rigid timetables often lose their impact within a week. They never move, so your brain quietly stops paying attention to them. And that's the solution to the invisible shoes problem. Don't let your environment stay static. Give your brain a fresh novelty shock every week. If your shoes are in the middle of the room this week, hang them on the doorknob next week. If your sticky note is yellow this week, make it pink next week and place it on your computer screen. Remember, to beat habituation, your triggers have to move. Change the location, change the color, or change the cue every 7 days. So stop asking yourself, do I have enough discipline today? Instead, ask, is my environment set up to support this habit today? Keep rotating your visual cues every week, so they never become invisible furniture. And now we come to point number 4, the idea that completely changed the way I think about building habits. The next 2 minutes might permanently change the way you think about them too. And this is where everything starts with one simple question. Are you trying to build your habits completely alone? This is what happens when someone tries to build a habit without any accountability, without anyone observing their progress, and without any kind of social structure. When you're building a habit alone, there's no external check. And when the only promise you've made is to yourself, it's incredibly easy to break it, because no one is watching. The reason behind this is something called the intention-action gap. It's the gap between what your present self intends to do and what your future self actually ends up doing. To bridge that gap, you need something called a commitment device. Here's what that looks like. The night before, you're lying in bed feeling highly motivated. Your present self decides, tomorrow I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. But when 5 a.m. actually arrives, control shifts to your sleepy, comfort-seeking future self, the version of you that instinctively hits the snooze button without thinking. So how do you stop that version of yourself? You make the decision the night before to place your alarm clock in another room. Now, when the alarm goes off, you have no choice but to get out of bed to turn it off. That's a commitment device, a voluntary decision made today that limits your choices tomorrow. Just like Ulysses tied himself to the mast of his ship so he couldn't give in to the siren's song. There's another reason habits fall apart. Most people never take advantage of something called loss aversion. When there's no reputation, no money, and no time on the line, your brain starts treating the goal like it's optional. Every effective commitment device has two parts. First, you voluntarily restrict your future choices. Second, there's a real cost if you break that commitment. When the cost is financial, your brain is motivated by the fear of losing money. When the cost is social, your motivation comes from protecting your reputation or avoiding the disappointment of someone else. Without any accountability structure, the promises you make to yourself can always be renegotiated, and the moment your motivation drops, the habit often disappears with it. The most effective system combines both: a financial stake for enforcement and social accountability for support and problem solving. So never leave an important habit entirely up to yourself. Always create at least one external check-in. Instead of making vague commitments, make them specific, measurable, and something another person can actually verify. And if your solo approach keeps failing, don't assume the problem is your discipline. The real problem may simply be that your system has no external accountability built into it. But even after understanding all of this, there's still one final problem left, and it might be the missing piece that's been knocking your habits off track every single time. This is a pattern where one small slip-up, like breaking your diet or missing a single workout, triggers guilt and shame. And that guilt pushes people to give up completely. I've already ruined the plan, so what the hell? I might as well ruin the whole thing. The real problem isn't the mistake itself. It's the perfectionist mindset that treats every missed day as a total failure. Most people think of habits as a streak, so the moment they miss one day, they feel like all of their progress has been reset back to zero. But that's not how it actually works. One missed day doesn't significantly affect your brain's automatic habit-building process. The real damage happens afterward. A tiny slip turns into abandoning the habit altogether, because when we break a goal, we feel guilty. And the fastest way for the brain to escape that uncomfortable feeling is often to do even more of the exact thing we already feel guilty about. Imagine this. You decide, starting today, I'm done with junk food. Then you're out with your friends, and you eat one small slice of pizza. Your brain immediately says, well, my perfect plan is already ruined. I've already failed. So to escape that guilt, it convinces you, forget it. The diet's already broken. I might as well eat the whole pizza and start fresh tomorrow. But the reality is very different. Research shows that missing your habit for one day doesn't reset all your progress. Your brain simply continues building from where it left off. So the real solution isn't tracking your streak, it's tracking your bounce-back rate. Research also shows that self-compassion helps break this cycle. People who forgive themselves after a setback are actually less likely to overindulge afterward. Start with one simple rule: never miss twice. If yesterday was missed because life got in the way,
then today becomes the most important day to get back on track. No exceptions. Also, create a minimum viable version of your habit for bad days and change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, "I already messed up, what's the point now?" Say, "I missed one day. I'll get back to it tomorrow." Stop chasing perfection, because real consistency doesn't mean never falling. It means getting back up every time you do. So the next time you start building a new habit, build a system. Don't rely on motivation alone. Decide when and where you'll do it. Don't settle for vague plans. Design your environment so it works for you, not against you. Don't fight the battle alone. Bring at least one person into your check-ins. And if you miss a day, get back on track immediately. Don't drown in guilt. These 5 things are what determine whether your next habit is still alive 6 months from now, or whether it ends up becoming just another forgotten resolution.